right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Jay. And Jay, we're so excited to see you again. Thank you so much to every single person who has liked, subscribed, shared, reached out to us. Your encouragement is super awesome. We love doing this for you guys. So thank you so much. And we're excited about another topic today that is something that's, been a big part of our life. And we want to share that with you.
Very, very big in my life, especially this past season. And this is importance of mentorship.
Yeah.
Like having a mentor in your life. I know for me, this is me personally. I was always in a desire to have a mentor. Like I hear people always talking about it and how good it is. And of course, like I had my parents
and they can be your mentors too.
Yeah. Give me like great advice and all these things. But I wanted someone who wasn't family. This was just me. This is was my personal wants. I want someone who was like, had the same interests as me, kind of lived out those things already that I'm dreaming, and kind of just have like wisdom of, not to say my parents didn't, I'm not saying that at all, but like a different insight for me.
And I think it's also just like, whether it's career, whether it's life, there's different types of mentors for different seasons.
Yeah.
And you can have more than one mentor at a time. Like this is not like saying you need to go have one mentor that you do everything you say, or that you can't have input and mentorship type advice from your parents or, older siblings or something like that. But this is also just about like, in your life, regardless of how you decide to do it, it's super important to have some mentorship in your life. And it gives you some guidance about kind of where you're going and what you're going to have to navigate through. Like, and for me, like from a career perspective, having a mentor, I have my limited perspective. And having a mentor in my life, when I'm going through something and I kind of submit that to them, they're able to be like, well, here is some guidance about how you might want to handle this situation. Or here is something that, I've seen this before, so it's okay. You don't need to overreact. Like this is just, how to kind of think about this.
Yeah. And so this past year, I've got a mentor, and she was literally heaven sent to me. And it was the greatest thing ever, because Josh was my best friend. We talk about everything, but this also allows me to have a safe place to speak on things that I'm like concerned about. And it's not to say nothing that me and Josh would never talked about. It's just a different perspective. Correct. And like I said, it was a safe place for me. Like I was able, I trusted this person. Like we went to this, it was the craziest thing too. Like we went to the same school. So she's an alumni, but she is 10 years older than me. So I got to hear like her perspective of when she just got married, how those things were. She's a mom now. She was in business. She did all these things. She's in ministry. So all those things she did is something that I aspire to do, or I am doing now. And it was cool for her to give me her perspective and her things that she went through. And it's crazy because at the time in the season that I was in, something that she went through is what I was walking through. And so she was someone to really speak life into me and encourage me. And what was important for me to find in a mentor too was someone who was faith-based, someone who had wisdom speaking about faith and then pouring in faith into my life. And that was really, really big. And it, like I said, she was literally God sent. And I'm so thankful for her to continue to be my mentor in my life. And I felt it just brought so much to our marriage too, of me speaking to the things that she taught me and the things that she walked me through. And it kind of like allowed me and Joshua to have like further discussions of what we think about situations.
Yeah. And I think like overall, again, mentorship really does help us because it gives us a different perspective.
Yeah.
it provides guidance, and you know, the Bible talks about it. You know, if you want to be wise, you need to learn from the wise. You need to hear counsel. You need to hear from people that have been there before. It gives you a different perspective because they might have gone through something very similar, but they handled it a different way. Or in hindsight, they've learned something that they can really impart to you. I think so often in life, we try to navigate things on our own. We try to figure out hard problems by ourselves. We want to isolate when things get hard. We want to, you know, kind of close ourselves off. We want to go against some of these big challenges, and we don't have somebody in our life that can kind of help guide us and help give us perspective. And when you do have that, when you go through these hard moments, the hard moments are still going to happen, but they're easier to bear when you're able to share the load, when you're able to pour out your heart, like Jasmine said, in a safe space with someone that you can trust, that's going to give you and that cares about you, and that's going to give you advice based on what they've learned. And it kind of helps you develop, you know, based on what your mentor's saying, based on what you're seeing, based on your life experience, you're able to have a very well-rounded worldview. And it just helps you get ready to deal with some of these issues that you might not have been as prepared for if you hadn't had someone that you could talk through it.
Yeah. And going on to what Joshua was talking about, like we try to do things on our own or try to like go through these trials by ourselves. But I think it's because we buy into a lie. Like we allow this lie of this, we're the only person going through this, or I'm the only person that this happened to, and no one else is going to know how I feel, or no one else is going to know what to do. And that's a lie from one thing, because a lot of these things that we are going through, people older than us have gone through them, or people go through them too,
or people our age, you know, people that you know, like, I mean, I think typically a mentor is going to be or when you're getting mentored, you're going to have someone that has some experience, that has some baggage, or that has seen some things, you know, because that's how they've helped develop their perspective. And I also think that when you are mentored and you are able to mentor others, you know, it's a giving relationship. It's like, even now when we have these conversations, when we talk to people that might be, you know, 10 years younger than us, we have been in their shoes before. We've seen some of those things that they've seen before. People that have been in our shoes, you know, there might be 10 years, 20 years ahead of us, and they've seen these things before. And so they're able to really help us to kind of approach things in the right way. And I think that, again, it really goes down to this thing of wisdom is learning from others. Wisdom is hearing good advice. Wisdom is putting those types of, you know, things in your life, and then trusting that, you know, you have people in your life that are looking out for you. You're not doing this by yourself. You're not the only one going through this situation. And it's so easy to feel like that sometimes. And sometimes your mentor, the person in your life, is like, hey, we've all been through this. This is how, you know, this is a good way to handle it. Sometimes they do just give you straight good advice. Like, hey, I don't know how to do this. What should I do? And they're like, hey, you know, this is what happened. This is what I think you should think about. Here's some steps that you might be able to take. And then it seems so easy to them because they've seen it before. I think about my life, you know, when I have people that have talked to me, whether it's about, you know, marriage, whether it's about business, whether it's about my career, I only have my perspective, and I come in there and I'm like, here's what I think, and here's what I think I should do based on what I know. And they're like, oh, that's super interesting, but I think you're not thinking about this as well. I also think you might want to consider this option. And when you think about these three things together, maybe the best option is this versus this. Now, I can't know that just on my own without seeking out advice. I might go and make a decision or do something off of my limited understanding and then wonder why I got in trouble, when at the same time I could have gone and got more counsel and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that literally goes into our next thing we want to talk about, is like, it gives us a different perspective, like mentorship. But then also when you go into these conversations, I think you have to have a heart posture of knowing that you are about to receive, that you're about to learn, rather than having like this hard head of thinking that you know everything and your way is the only way. I think you have to have this heart posture shift of like, hey, I'm going into this because I want to learn. I want to seek wisdom. I want to get a different perspective than what I have now. And like what Joshua says, like these people that are wise, they give us different perspectives, different thoughts, how they see things. Because even when Joshua and I first got together, we had different perspectives of a lot of things. And it wasn't to say that we were both wrong. It was just different ways of viewing life or viewing different things. And I think it kind of like goes to our advantage that we think differently and we see things differently. So when we come together and put it as one, it's just like, I don't know, it's super cool to see it happen.
And there's a difference between going on Google and researching what you could do, and then talking to somebody
who's done
it. Again, I keep bringing about the work perspective, but there's a difference between coming out of college with the knowledge about how to do something and then having 10 years of experience. You know, there's a reason that they only hire people with 10 years of experience for some jobs, because they need to have seen some things. They need to have been in certain situations so that they can handle what's about to come. When we go and we just think, oh, I'll just research exactly what I should do, and I'm going to put this Google PowerPoint up of like these 3 things are what you should consider. Maybe and I'm not saying those aren't good things to do. Those 3 points but you might want additional perspective. You might want something like, hey, so I actually did this before and this is what happened. And this is something to think about. Hey, this is another collateral, damage effect that you might not be thinking about when you're moving in this direction. And it's so important that experience that people have is valuable. And why it's important for mentorship is because you can't, know what you don't know, sometimes if you've never seen it, how can someone expect you to know how to do it? And you might not be able to be the best at something the first time that you do it, but as you get experience, as you get perspective that you don't, originally have, you're able to kind of have a head start on some things. You're able to approach things with a different mindset. And then again, the heart posture that you have to have. To be humble enough to say, I might be wrong. I might not have everything. And that's, I think, if you are humble, that's why you'd want a mentor in the first place, because I know I don't know everything. I know there's wisdom that I need in this situation, and I'm going to be honest about where I'm at. I'm going to ask the questions where I don't know the answer to. For me, I always want to know the answer. And I don't like when I don't know the answer. But at the same time, if I don't know the answer, I have 2 options. I can pretend and fake it till I make it, or I can go and learn the answer. I can go out there and say, okay, here is the answer that I need to get. And sometimes when you have mentorship in your life, when you have counsel in your life, when you have people that care about you, they might already have some perspective on that answer that you don't necessarily have to go learn the hard way. Sometimes you do have to learn the hard way. I'm not going to lie.
That's just life experience, honestly.
But sometimes you don't have to learn the hard way. Sometimes you can make the right decision and see, oh, wow, I can see now in hindsight, wow, that was the right decision.
And I know for me, like having a mentor, not only does she give me a different perspective, but she just gives me good advice, like wholesome advice that I get to take. I leave wherever we go, like hang out, get coffee or eat food or whatever we do. I always leave so full of joy, happiness, hope. And, like what we said, we always go to the Bible, but there's a verse in Proverbs that says, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. And every time I leave too, I feel a bit wiser because I am learning a lot of different things, the first time that we met, we kind of talked about what do I want to get out of this? I love that she asked me, Jasmine, what do you want to get out of this? And honestly, I was like, everything, everything that you can. You're a mom, you're a pastor, you are in business, all of these things that literally hit right on what I do or what I want to do. And, I'm like, I need some wife advice. I want to become a mother. I want, advice on becoming a mom. I am in business. I want advice in business. I of course I'm in ministry. I want give me ministry trips. There's just so many things that I'm like, whatever you have to give, I'm willing and I'm listening. And it was just, she just gave me so much good advice.
And again, all these kind of relate, guidance, perspective, advice, those are all very similar. but they're all so important to have in our life. We need to have the right perspective when we're approaching issues. We need to widen our perspective. We need to not just be so focused on our limited view that we miss out on things that are a bigger picture.
Yeah.
We need to be focused on, having people that are when you have a life plan and you have a mentor in your life and they can kind of help guide you on that path because they might have walked it themselves already.
Yeah.
You don't have to, just trailblaze all the time. Sometimes you can not reinvent the wheel and find out, hey, here's a really good situation or someone that I can have in my life. And then sometimes you just need practical advice. Like, hey, you want to stop having this, do this.
Yeah.
This is just a great practical step to put in place. And like the Bible says, if you want to be wise, you have to hang out with people that are wise. If you're hanging out with people that don't have any perspective, and that's why when we talk about this topic of mentorship, it's not saying that your friends can't give you advice, not saying that, you can't get advice from those people. But sometimes when you're at the same stage in life with somebody, you still have only so much perspective.
The same perspective, kind of.
Yeah, a lot of times, people that are the same age as Jasmine and I, that have been married the same amount of time with us, that are at the same stage financially, that are at the same stage in their careers. Like, yes, there's different things we can learn from each other, and that is so important too, and that's something that we'll talk about later. But there's also a lot that we all collectively don't know yet. Like if we want to go start a business, and we go and do something in business, we're going to all have to learn about that. Versus if we go do something, we talk to somebody that's been doing it for 10 years. That's like, hey, so here's our idea. Here's what we're thinking. What are some things we should also be thinking about? Having that humility is going to be super helpful in life.
And also too, I want to talk about like when you're finding a mentor, you kind of want to find someone who they're doing what you want to do, right? You don't want to also if someone just gives good advice and you want just life advice, go ahead and do that. But if they're like, let's say, this is so random, a professional bowler, right? And you are wanting to do softball or baseball, you're not going to seek advice from a professional bowler. You know what I mean? It's just like, find someone who you look up to and that they're doing what you want to do.
And this is
go ahead.
One mentor that you have to have. Like maybe you have a spiritual mentor. Maybe you have someone that helps mentor you in spiritual things. Maybe you have a business mentor. And that, like to Jasmine's point, like if you want to do professional baseball, maybe a bowling person isn't the best person to go to.
That was so random.
But if you want to do professional bowling, then yes, that would be a great person to help you in your business. But maybe neither a professional baseball player or a, professional bowler is going to help you on your financial journey. Like there's so many things to think about when it comes to membership, that it's like a mentorship that, sometimes it's not an all-in-one package. And,
I'm blessed to
Jasmine's
say that
mentor,
I got
she's
that.
awesome. And, but most of my mentors are in different areas of my life.
Yeah.
I don't have like one mentor that I talk to about every single aspect. I'll talk to about different things, but there's also mentors in certain aspects of my life that are like, hey, as far as my career goes, this is who I want to reach out to. Hey, as far as my spiritual life goes, here's who I'm going to reach out to. When it comes to marriage advice, here's who I may want to talk to, and I'm not saying those don't ever overlap. It's not like I have like a subset, like, well, I can never talk to them about anything except for, but it's just having people in your life that can speak into those different areas that are important to you is so important. And it's really going to be life-giving to you. It's going to be humbling to you, because sometimes you realize once you start talking about how you know everything and then someone corrects you in love, wow, I actually don't know as much as I thought I did. And I need to learn more, and I need to be ready to do that. So it's so important that we seek those type of things out. And as human beings, if we want to grow, if we want to have perspective, we need to seek those who have been there before, can help us.
For sure. Like I personally have seen the fruit and the growth that I had for having a mentor. And that's why we took the time to talk about this to you, because we know that this could be important in your life.
It's been huge in our life.
Yeah, it's been very impactful in our life. And that's why we just talk through these things with you, because we think that you could find value in this. And if you want to look for a mentor, just remember, continue to seek out what you want to do, who you want to be. And if you find someone that is doing that right now, and it doesn't even have to be a weird conversation and like, hey, be my mentor. To be like, hey, I see that you're doing this and I'm very interested in becoming this when I grow up or in a couple of years. Would you be willing to share like your life, your story with me? Like just simple stuff like that. And people are probably most likely going to say yes, and that they want to help you. They want to help you to where you want to be. where you want to get to. There we go.
Yeah. And don't, yeah, it's so important. Don't be afraid to, it doesn't have to be like an official mentor mentee relationship where it's like, we're going to meet once. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain for a few minutes, and can we get coffee and talk about something? Can I have 30 minutes of your time to ask you some questions? And maybe that's the mentorship that's happening there. But I do think it's also important, to that point, to have somebody that's in your life consistently over time.
Yes.
And you know, that's a spiritual father to you. That's a, you know, someone that's you can trust,
or mother,
or mother, or someone that is you can trust with multiple things over your life, and really have them pour into you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening, and we cannot wait to keep going with this season. You are like the main reason why we're doing this. Like,
the feedback that you guys give us, it's been amazing. Like, we love talking about these different topics. We love hearing from you guys.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. So thank you so much. We love you, and we can't wait till next time.
We'll see you guys next time.